On April 11, 1970, a massive rocket lifted off from Kennedy Space Center in the United States, carrying the spacecraft for the Apollo 13 mission. 3 astronauts were on board, heading toward the moon. This was already NASA's 3rd mission planned to land humans on the lunar surface. After the success of the previous 2 missions, confidence was high. The astronauts believed this journey would be routine. Their goal was clear: to walk on the moon once again. What they didn't know was that this dream would never be fulfilled. In April 1970, when the spacecraft was roughly 330,000 kilometers away from Earth, a sudden loud explosion shook the vehicle. Within seconds, warning lights began flashing, alarms started sounding, and confusion filled the cabin. It was soon discovered that one oxygen tank had completely exploded, while the second tank was rapidly losing oxygen. Moments later came the now famous message.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem.
Back on Earth, Mission Control initially believed the readings might be faulty. Instrument errors were not uncommon. But inside the spacecraft, the astronauts could see something terrifying through the window: gas and debris escaping into space. Worse still, the explosion had pushed the spacecraft off its original trajectory. With every passing second, it was drifting farther away from Earth. Within just a few hours, Apollo 13 had reached a distance never achieved before by any human spacecraft. Landing on the moon was no longer the concern. The only question left was simple: could they make it back alive? The spacecraft consisted of 4 main parts: the command module, the service module, the lunar module, and the launch escape system. All 3 astronauts were seated inside the command module, the control center of the spacecraft. Despite its importance, it was extremely small, a cone-shaped structure just 11 feet long and 13 feet wide. The crew included Commander Jim Lovell, lunar module pilot Fred Hayes, and command module pilot Jack Swigert. Interestingly, none of them were part of the original crew selected for this mission. The first crew had to be replaced due to unexpected issues, placing these 3 men into history by chance. For the first 2 days, everything went perfectly. At 46 hours and 43 minutes into the mission, Mission Control reported that the spacecraft was functioning well. In fact, things were going so smoothly that engineers joked about being bored. Then, without warning, disaster struck. The explosion had occurred outside the spacecraft, damaging a 13-foot panel on the service module. The fastest way back to Earth required firing the service module's main engine. But that engine was dangerously close to the explosion site. No one knew if it would even work. The second option was riskier but safer in theory. Continue toward the moon, loop around it, and use gravity to return to Earth. This path avoided the damaged engine, but would take 4 to 5 days. Did they have enough oxygen, water, and power to survive that long? NASA's flight director chose the second option. The crew was instructed to shut down the command module completely and use the lunar module as a lifeboat. But this solution came with serious challenges. The lunar module was designed for 2 astronauts for only 20 hours, not 3 astronauts for nearly 5 days. Its engines were never meant to be fired multiple times. To conserve power, astronauts shut down all non-essential systems, including the heaters. Temperatures inside the spacecraft dropped drastically. The first burn of the lunar module engine placed Apollo 13 on a return path around the moon. If nothing went wrong, they would reach Earth after 153 hours. That left barely 1 hour of spare oxygen and water. Engineers on Earth were uneasy. The margin was too small. After careful calculations, they ordered a second engine burn. Against all odds, the engine held. The burn shortened the journey to 143 hours, buying an additional 11 hours of survival time. But another danger emerged: carbon dioxide buildup. The command module had square lithium hydroxide filters. The lunar module used circular ones. Carbon dioxide levels were rising, and time was running out. With only materials available on board, plastic bags, cardboard, hoses, and duct tape, Engineers on Earth worked urgently to design a solution. Step by step, astronauts followed instructions. A makeshift device was built. Carbon dioxide levels dropped. After 4 exhausting days, Apollo 13 neared Earth once again. But due to cooling vapors affecting calculations, the spacecraft drifted off course. Jim Lovell performed one final burn, correcting their trajectory. As the command module entered Earth's atmosphere, communication went silent. This blackout was expected. Ionized air blocks radio signals. Normally, it lasts 2 to 3 minutes. This time, it didn't. 3 minutes passed. Finally, after 4 minutes and 27 seconds, Mission Control heard a signal. The parachutes deployed. The command module splashed down into the Pacific Ocean. All 3 astronauts survived. Apollo 13 never reached the moon, but it became one of the greatest survival stories ever told. A mission remembered not for landing, but for coming home.